Hello, today we're going to be building the trickier parts of the accordion player. Just want to show you something that is in section 1. When you're putting the two sides on, you'll notice that this hole is much nearer this side than that, and the wood grain is going down. Make sure you build it that way, otherwise when you put this branch across it will be far too high and your cams will hit the ceiling. So just wanted to point that out. Then, while everything is still loose, you've slid on all your cams, put glue on two surfaces, and then take the top with the large hole away from you, and in the single hole drop down, press down and leave to dry for about 15 minutes. In section 5 you glue these two levers in place directly underneath these two holes. I find the easiest way of doing this is to drop it on its back so that you can look down and see that they're lined up with the two holes, and then just put a dab of glue each side. You can press quite close together but not so tight they won't move. So you still want them to move but not too loosely, and then just leave to dry, hanging down like that. Still in section 5 you're gluing the various cams to the main shaft. The first one to do is the one that's inside what's known as the cage cam. Put a bit of glue on the main shaft, and then I actually, rather than turn the cam, I turn the handle round and round as I bring it along into place directly beneath the hole above, and I tend to have it drooping downwards and the handle drooping downwards just as a reminder of the direction. And then at the far end, while you're waiting for that to dry, you can glue the triangular cam. Again, lift the lever out the way, glue on the main shaft, and then spin the shaft as you bring it into place directly beneath that end lever, and then leave these two to dry before doing the central two. So triangular cam is directly underneath that lever, and the first circular large offset cam is underneath directly the hole in the top. You see it there. Now after a few minutes you're ready to do the remaining two cams. Do the other large circular offset cam which goes next to the triangular cam next, and again a bit of a fiddle, but spin it round to get the glue well spread into the hole and get it directly underneath the other lever like so. And this time, the first one you had pointing downwards, the bulk of the cam, this one you want it pointing upwards, directly opposite to the first one. Then the large thick cam is going to be directly underneath this hole at the back of the top. Again, spin it as you push it into place so that it's spreading the glue, but this one's quite weighty and you want this one pointing backwards towards this hole. So the best way of doing it is actually then lying the whole thing on the back. As you can see, that's directly underneath this hole in the top, and that's directly underneath that lever. And lay it on its back, and that one, then the weight of it will make it stay in the right position going down. So when you're gluing the seat on, just to check you've got it in the right position. It should be the case it's just flat along the back, but the orientation of the holes is important too. You want that to be vertical sometimes, you don't want it to be leaning. So you just, while the glue's still wet, drop a bit of shaft down so you can check. And the same with the large hole at the back, you just want to make sure that it will drop easily. That's fine. then you have a small part to glue on here, and I just wanted to show you something. When you glue it on, hold the cage cam underneath it, press that down, and make sure you've got that with the cage cam in line at the bottom, straight, that is then parallel to the front of the bench. It's not twisted like that, it's got to be straight. That's important for later on. Right, we're on section 12, and I just wanted to show you something that I do slightly differently with his right arm. We've glued the hand together, and then I glue in advance the shaft into that, drop it into place through the holes. Then make sure when you've glued this spacer on, this is really nice and loose. Then put the hand, the lower arm in, a little bit of glue on the end of there, push in place. Now what I do differently is in the instructions it tells you to glue a spacer on here. Sometimes then that causes that, as you can see, not to go up and down. It just seems to put a bit of tension on it. So instead I glue there, bring that to the end, and it just seems to release it, so it works. Section 13, you'll have glued this in place on the fin. Then get the 4 plain fins next to each other. Then the 2 thin ones with the cutout. Then that. Hold them together and put glue just on that flat surface. They're not glued to each other, just the bottom has glue on it. Put the fabric on so it covers everything. Press down firmly and turn over, line everything up, and then just leave that to dry. And when you've about half an hour, go around with some sharp scissors, trim all the way around the edge and that little cutaway part. Then that will be ready to put in place, which I'll show you next. Section 14, putting the accordion in place. Just put that pin through and put a dab of glue to each end. And then turn the accordion around and just run some glue up that first fin with the keyboard on it, and then just hold it in place and turn the handle, and you can adjust it, pushing it back against his body as you do that. And I'll show you in a minute how to get those fins to move more evenly. Just leave that to dry for the time being. Just wanted to show you the arm when it's been built. It's as long as you follow carefully, it's very straightforward, but it must rotate very freely in all directions. Then just slide it with that front edge towards the accordion along there. Put a dab of glue inside, very small spacer. Wipe it off and just push it on, but not too tight. That arm needs to be nice and floppy and easy to slide onto this point. So the last point is just if the fins aren't moving as evenly as you would like, just open up the ones that are perhaps falling open too far, put a bit of glue in between and turn the handle until they've got to a gap where you're happy, and then just go off and leave that to dry and just work your way along doing any ones that are just flopping unevenly, and they then should, the whole accordion should move up and down and look a lot better.